the School of Fiction.
Hi, so I'm so happy to have Tycho Dwelis back. This is Tycho. You're now tied with Asprey Jones for 3 appearances on School of Fiction Channel.
Oh, awesome. Yes.
So,
Amazing.
and
I love Asprey. Yeah.
yes, and I know you did some extra work with Asprey, I think, after you met during our forum on self-editing fiction writers, which you were in charge of. For everyone who, if this is your first time meeting Tycho, Tycho is multi-talented. Tycho is an editor. Tycho is a publisher. Tycho is a great author, and Tycho is also an artist with a style which kind of has manga and ElfQuest feel to it. I was very pleased. I'm very pleased still going forward to be using some art that Tycho did for me as part of promo for my new book in July, but we'll talk about that later. Tycho, you have a new book coming out, so let's start there.
Yeah, I do. I will. I'm not gonna flip the cover around because this is a secret. But I'm gonna be releasing my Court of Snakes omnibus in, I guess, May 30th or May 28th is the backer kit launch for that. So the cover reveal for this will be coming soon, but it's the second in a duology that I have. So not only will the second paperback, the sequel paperback, be available, but also this very big, very fancy special edition omnibus. So I'm very stoked. But it's a YA. It's fun.
I'm happy that I have that book on my phone right now. It's on my TBR list. So along with a couple of other of your books that I also enjoyed very much. So that's great. And anything else you want to tell us about right now?
Not much other than I think that since the last time we chatted, Liminal House Press is the press that I own, and it's been going strong. I did some work for Asprey through the press, which has been really fun. So I've mostly just been doing a la carte author services for people looking to self-publish their work or get traditionally published, but also submissions for the press are now officially open, and I'm still looking for at least one other person to submit any kind of speculative fiction. If you're a part of a diverse author group, all of that information can be found on the Liminal House Books website. So it's liminalhousebooks.com to submit work if anybody is interested in that.
Absolutely. Good. And now I know that's going on. When I meet someone in that category, I will definitely let them know about it.
Oh, totally, yeah.
The word liminal is really coming into public discourse quite a bit. I find myself using it and thinking about it a lot when working on my own writing. Suddenly everything is liminal. Even a book that I'm working on now with the second book in my series has a reference to backrooms in it.
Oh, I love it.
One of
Yeah,
the original
nice.
online liminal spaces. So all day it's liminal. I was just
Yeah.
saying, I was walking from between a classroom and another classroom to teach, and you teach, and I'm going to ask you about that just now. And I had an idea for a line which I went and typed in for a character to say, and like I was in liminal space between classrooms when I was walking through the high school.
Yeah.
So tell us about your teaching, Tycho.
I currently am an adjunct professor for the undergraduate level at the Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design. I won't be there for long because I'm moving to Canada in August and I cannot teach at the school from Canada, but I teach in predominantly animation classes, particularly script writing for animated film and TV, and also concept art too. So I don't really do the animation side of it. It's all the like pre-production stuff, but it is very fun. It's a lot of freshman level classes teaching people how to use Photoshop, that kind of stuff.
I'm going to tell you honestly, back in 1998, I taught a course at International Fine Arts College in Miami called Storytelling for Computer Animators.
Nice.
That
Yeah,
was
that's
great.
awesome.
That's so long ago that I used Toy Story, which was still the hot movie.
Oh yeah, and it's still relevant. Yeah, definitely. My fallback is always no joke. Toy Story and The Incredibles for me are such huge influences for sure.
So this is so we have this in common, but you're doing much more advanced stuff. And sometime off camera, we'll talk computer animation schools, 90s to present.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah. So you have a new project related to TikTok. Our topic today is TikTok and book talk and TikTok marketing and other TikTok controversies. And tell us what you got going on, Tycho, because I don't even know yet. I can't wait to get excited by this.
Yeah, a lot of what I've been doing is mostly being able to finally explore how to help indie authors successfully market their work through the Liminal House Press author services, because I recognize that for a lot of indie authors, and I've been talking about this a lot on my TikTok recently, we run up into the issue of finishing the book suddenly becomes the easiest part, which is absolutely crazy. And it feels like the marketing afterward is really the big sticking point for a lot of people. I think as platforms change, things happen so quickly that it's often difficult for people to keep up on what to post, how to post. You have a million websites telling you to do a bunch of different things. 90% of those suggestions don't work, and it can be incredibly frustrating, I think, as like an indie author to face those things. So I've been working at a publishing marketing company called Pavendo since 2022, I think. So I'm now a project manager over with them as well. Josh is super nice. Pavendo is a very cool company if anybody is looking for marketing services. But I've learned a lot doing like stuff on the marketing end. But Book Talk in particular is a constant hot topic, and it's a great place to market your work if you know how to do it and how to kind of get the algorithm, I think, to work in your favor. So hopefully we can reveal some of those secrets, because I don't like to gatekeep information. That makes me sad. So hopefully we can help some people out.
Well, I'm going to count on you for that, because I have more questions than answers. I have a lot of topics with questions. So, what you're talking about is Luminal House Press is going to be getting involved with the marketing end.
Yes, yeah. I currently offer a service that I like to call my social media roadmap, and it's a really simple, like very affordable blueprint effectively for authors to follow. So we talk about what each individual author's favorite platforms to post on, so it's 100% customizable, and I can help people know what to post, how to post, whether or not you should be spending money on ads, those kinds of things. Because I know early on in my career, I was trying Meta ads, or Facebook ads, they were called at the time, because Meta did not own a billion different social media platforms. And you know, it felt like a waste of time. It was just, and a waste of resources. You know, we have very limited resources. So this roadmap effectively gives you like copy paste templates for posts, the cadence for posts based on your preference, you know, what kind of things you should be talking about on those posts, so that way authors don't get like, or I guess I should say readers don't get overloaded with just like marketing content 24/7. So how to make your platforms effectively entertaining enough that people want to stick around and they don't feel like you're just constantly like, buy my book, like all the time. Because sometimes I do find that causes a lot of like reader fatigue, and they'll just kind of swipe past you, which is not what we want.
That's true. And this brings us to, this is actually the last one on the list of things, but I think we need to start with it now that you said that, which is the question of the focus of a author's channel. Because on the one hand, there's the idea that you want to provide general interest content, because otherwise people will just not follow you, because all you're doing is book ads, right? This was definitely the problem back with the old Twitter drip feeds that I did in the 2010s. I made sure that I had a lot of stuff there, but you know, and very few book promos. But of course, nobody looked at any of it anyway. So, but then the other option is book promos. So some people say, if you never promote your book, of course you're not going to get any sales. And then some people say, well, if all you do is promote your book, you're just spamming. And the balance point is not clear to maybe it's not clear to me because I'm an old person, but I think maybe it's not clear to anyone. So. Weigh in on this, Tycho. I don't know if there is an answer, but if there is one, you're the one who knows it.
Yeah, totally. And this is absolutely something that I feel like I've struggled with for a long time. And like, for context, I think some of it is the algorithm. So I want to reassure people, like sometimes it feels like you're throwing a post into the void and then literally nobody sees it. And that is just because the internet can be fickle. These algorithms are very mathy, and sometimes the math does not, it's just not in your favor. But that being said, what I found that's given me the most success is talking, I think, like you're saying, general interest posts about what you do. Because I think as authors, we forget that we do things that are very, very cool. Most people don't come up with universes in their head or figure out space physics for their books, or magic systems, or religions, or languages, things like that. And so by talking about those things from what I would call like an edutainment standpoint, so it's partially educational, mostly entertainment, you can get people to stick around because they want to learn more about the craft itself. They may be aspiring writers and they want to know more about how you do what you do, but they may just be huge nerds and really into cool stuff, and they want to know how you built a language or how your physics worked in your world and those kinds of things. And then at the very end of the video, you go, by the way, if you like this magic system, you should check out my book. or whatever solid call to action you have. And that's some marketing jargon that I think I struggled with for a really long time. And that call to action piece is really important. You only want one thing, and you have to ask people, ask yourself, I guess, what do you want your audience to do? Is it follow you? Is it sign up for your ARC? Is it read your book? What is it? Pick one thing, and then for a little while, just ask them to do that thing at the very end of the video. And most of the time, people won't get annoyed by it. The reality is most people swipe away before they even get halfway through the video. But for those that do stick around, they'll go, oh yeah, actually I do want to follow this person, and then just mash the button. And they won't get fatigued by it. I haven't noticed anybody like really getting upset or unfollowing me for doing this in this way. So no, you won't be annoying. It seems weird on the back end to like constantly push that call to action. But it's surprising how much tolerance I think people on the internet actually have. So you don't have to be afraid to promote yourself.
I just saw someone say one of these, another TikTok coach, well, he said, post it again because maybe it'll work the next time.
Yep. Sometimes it does. Sometimes the algorithm just hates you. I had a video that I made normally, like I find a lot of success mixing in what I would call like meme content into my stuff. So you can make like relatable sounds, like, or TikTok has audio, recommended audio. So if you find a joke funny or an audio relatable and it's like 15 seconds or less, do a little lip sync, post it. Typically those generate a lot of views because they're very short and people will engage with them because they think they're funny. But a couple weeks ago, I posted one of those and it got 4 views. Just that was it. And my average is normally above like 500 to 900-ish, give or take. And it's not like crazy numbers. I have a very small social presence, all things considered, but 4 is rough. 4 means that the TikTok algorithm hated me for some reason. I don't know. And even reposting that actually didn't make it better. Sometimes reposting it will, sometimes it won't. So it's really just like a crapshoot. And looking at the numbers and not being super offended, like for 4 days after that, the TikTok algorithm had to relearn what my audience was. So for 4 days after that, I was getting like 50 views, 100 views. And it's like, come on, like I was doing better than this, but it's because the algorithm literally got confused. It didn't know who my audience was, why that video had flopped twice in a row. And then after like 3 or 4 days, everything went back to normal. So sometimes it's just going to be a dud, and that's just the way it goes. But for the most part, definitely don't be afraid to reuse content, especially because we have very limited time. And if you had something go viral a couple of years ago, or at least do relatively well, it's like, just repost it. Nobody's going to care. Like, nobody will know. So just takes, honestly, it just takes posting more. TikTok has a very sophisticated algorithm, and that's the main thing that I like to point out to people, is that TikTok functions completely differently than other platforms, like any meta platform, so it's Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, or Blue Sky. TikTok's algorithm is really, really good, and it does learn, which sounds super creepy, and like we now live in an era of like weird Big Brother technology. But that being said, if you keep posting content, you will eventually notice that snowball start to pick up, especially if your videos are under 1 minute long. That's a great way to train the algorithm effectively to know what your content is, who it should show it to, and then as soon as you do that over and over, eventually you'll reach the right people.
Let's talk about the thing that probably most people watching this are going to want to use, which is Book Talk.
Yep.
So Book Talk, I know, is huge, massive. It's many millions of users, and a lot of them are indie authors. And so I wonder if that's an issue. I hear a lot of different opinions about this, that it's a lively community, or that it's mostly young people who only talk to each other, or that it's nothing but controversy and infighting now. So you're probably, even though I see it a lot, I think you know it more. So let me throw that to you. Tell us the gospel of Book Talk, Tycho.
I literally stay away from Book Talk at a further distance. Like a 10-foot pole does not describe how far away I stay away from Book Talk. I do agree. I've heard a lot of very weird stuff about Book Talk in general. And I personally, when I post my videos, I know I've seen a lot of indie authors that will use the hashtag Book Talk to try and get it to circulate in that area. And I find that it is very oversaturated. I don't think I've really gotten any positive benefit from ever kind of throwing my marketing that direction. And I often do just fine by saying I'm an indie author or I'm a fantasy. Write fantasy books, and just stay away from that crowd. Just in general. Now, I'm sure some people have fantastic experiences in there, but it's also a very romance-forward group. They are predominantly reading romantasy, or any level of romance. It's not uncommon that you'll be doing outreach. I put together these outreach lists with the help of a team for my Pubvendo job, and a lot of the book talkers are, like, in their bio, you'll see, like, spicy romance, mafia romance, shifter romance. Like, most of them are not interested in reading speculative fiction, or if they are, they're less, like, deep in the book talk culture, if that makes sense. They tend to be kind of on the fringes. So if you're a romance author, I would highly recommend jumping in there, as long as you have things that are incredibly tropey, easy to read, and very quick to consume, because those are the kinds of books that Book Talk loves. If you approach Book Talk with things like speculative, long political fantasies, like Priory of the Orange Tree, I don't think would do very well, for example, over on Book Talk, not because it's a bad book, but that's just not what they're looking for, so more about knowing what your target audience is and being able to leverage that as best as you possibly can. And you're right.
An amazing coincidence that you picked one of the books that I bought and couldn't get into.
Yeah, it's rough. I also started Priory and stopped.
I'm like, DNF,
Yeah.
DNF. Like, at what point can I feel anchored here? There's just throwing out too much stuff to keep track of. I don't want to take notes.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Right. And so take that feeling and then amplify it by like 400, and that's how the Book Talk readers are going to feel about it. They want things that are very hook forward, tropey, very easy to read, very quick to digest. And also too, like you said, they love the drama. So some of the most famous Book Talk influencers are like sports people that all of a sudden were like, by the way, I can read, I play sports and I read. And then, like, that's the controversy. It's like, let's go follow this hot sports guy as he talks about books. Crazy that people can do sports and read at the same time. What a wild concept there. But also too, it does, like you were saying, come with a whole slew of drama. And people are very the cancel culture is wild. That's the way that I will phrase that as eloquently as I can. And again, not everybody is like this, but it can be a very toxic environment if you are perceived as doing the wrong thing, saying the wrong thing, you have the wrong opinions about authors, books, content, whatever it is. And it can be very easy to get blacklisted in those environments. And I just don't like that level of toxicity, so I personally just kind of stay away from it.
Well, I was kind of not aware that Book Talk had such a narrow focus. I knew the romantasy was big in there, and I have not yet found a romantasy author to interview to kind of explain romantasy to people who don't know what it is. I've asked various people, and they always ignore me because I'm not, 25 years old.
Yes,
So
yeah, and I mean, and that's very true too. It's like, TikTok in general is on average a young crowd. It's probably going to be people, I want to be generous and say under 40, but most likely it's going to be 35 and under. And of course, there are a lot of 13-year-olds also on TikTok just in general. And so it can be hard as an author. You have to be very careful with what you post and how you run ads if you're going to do that. Because the last thing that you want is to try and sell content to 13-year-olds with no money. That can also be a huge waste of time. But yeah, I would say definitely Book Talk in its essence is not super, like, all entirely romance focused. That is a pretty broad generalization. But at the end of the day, like, there even is like an inside joke on the internet that it's like, oh, you're one of those like Book Talk readers. And that's indicating that you are only interested in romance, particularly maybe even LGBTQ romance or romantasy or dark romance. Even like it comes with its own like stereotype. I'm reminded of being a Hot Topic kid myself. It's like, oh, you're one of those Hot Topic kids. That's what it kind of feels like at the end of the day. Yeah. So they just are very targeted. And if you can find the right influencers to help read your book or promote your book, awesome. But at the end of the day, it is a little bit like searching for a needle in a haystack, especially if you write things that are more philosophical, I'm going to call them. So literary fiction, that's going to be pretty hard to find influencers for. Nonfiction, also going to be difficult, so the closer to romance you are and the more romance subplot you have in your book, the better success you're likely going to have.
We have there, of course, I don't know who all the Book Talk celebrities are, but I thought I would throw one out there, and maybe an ex-celebrity. I don't know what's going on right now, and that, of course, is Audra Winter. This is the way I understand the story, and then you'll give me what you know about it. Audra Winter was living the dream, as you and I both did when we were at the age that she is now. And she got a whole bunch of buddies, and they formed a little, clique and community. A lot of them were visual artists. And so she was very, very, very good at TikTok promotion. She just had a knack for it. Her youth, her charisma, her confidence, her friends, her sense of what community is. And so she made a ridiculous number of pre-sales of a book called The Age of Scorpius. Right? Didn't get or didn't reveal the results of feedback that she was getting prior to publication. Published it, and there was a massive backlash saying that it sucked. And then she became upset and offered refunds, and I think faded at some point. I haven't heard very much about her. Maybe more happened. And this all seems like a strange object lesson in a way, because first of all, I haven't read this book, so it's possible that she got beat up unfairly. I really don't know. But I raised the question of, is this a case where marketing is more important than quality? So that Audra Winter raises that, because she still did make a lot of money and still got her name out. And assuming that the book did suck, which I don't know, because you can't buy a copy right now. Does that mean the quality does matter, or is this just a matter of the fact that people wanted the drama, so they piled on the poor girl when she was exposed as not being as good a writer as her promotion? So that's my understanding, and I'm sure I missed something. And let me throw it over to you, because you're a little bit closer to understanding that generation than I am.
Yeah, totally. I have people who are in the book talk community and have read this book. I myself have read some experts or excerpts, if I can speak, excerpts
Yep.
of the novel, and I think this particular instance is not really an issue of like bad marketing or drama. It is at its core a quality delivery issue, and it has changed the landscape of how people use TikTok to funnel people specifically to Kickstarter or to other crowdfunding platforms. Because yeah, I think you summarized the story pretty accurately. At the end of the day, she was great at world building and about getting people hyped for her ideas, the relatability of her characters, the overall premise of her work. And then what ended up happening is people picked up the copy of the book, and she was doing a lot of like, I think, embellishment on the quality of the work itself. So she was saying things like, I got the same editor. I think it was the editor who worked on The Hunger Games. Don't quote me on that one, though, because again, I stay out of the book talk area. I'm kind of scared. Point being, very famous editor to edit her book. It turns out that she had actually only ordered a manuscript critique from this person, and I'm assuming that the feedback was not good. But she was using that person's very famous brand recognition to then say, hey, well, Age of Scorpius, it was looked at by this person, and so she also was not offering samples of her work. Now, it's very common on the Kickstarter end of things. Like, if people are going to back a Kickstarter, you need to have at least your first 3 chapters available for free for people to read, because now they're so gun shy because of the Audra Winter situation. They want to see the inside of your book, because when people ordered it and purchased it and opened it up, it effectively had the interior quality of what some of my friends have described as middle school fan fiction. So they were very disappointed, because again, she made, I think it was like over $40,000 on this Kickstarter, and people felt like they had been cheated. It was like ordering an infomercial product and you were very excited about it, and then you open the box and it just instantly breaks. It's like, it's not a good feeling to have. So if you are going to do good marketing, you do have to have a quality of a product to back up. And I would always argue that a quality product will outweigh good marketing any day, because at the very least, even if you're not very well known, your book is good quality. And then if you do become well known in the future, you won't run into those issues where you have like a quality control issue. And people may be more forgiving if they are looking at your older work. You can explain, I was like, I was in college when I wrote this, or and along those lines, and people I think are more forgiving overall. But in that particular case, she was saying that she had gotten it professionally edited. That was not the case. That a very famous editor had looked at her work. I am assuming the feedback was not very good. And then she still proceeded forward anyway, lying to people about the internal quality of her work, not allowing them to look at it or pre-screen it, not opening it up for beta readers or ARC reviewers to look at, and then it all just kind of like backfired and blew up in her face. And I don't think that she's done anything since, as far as I'm aware, but I don't tend to keep up on other author drama. It's definitely a very good lesson to learn from, though. Like, if you're going to present a product, just be honest about it. Show people what the inside of the book looks like. Because that's mostly what people are interested in on TikTok anyways. They want to see the inside. They want to know your characters. They want to hear excerpts. Woo, it's late. They want to hear excerpts of your writing style. They want to know you, and if you can speak well and if you can write well, then that's proof enough, that you have to develop that social proof before you do anything like kind of crazy,
I bring this up, and I did have I have a video on my YouTube channel where I talked about this too. I feel like there is a fault here in that first novels usually aren't as good as she made herself out to be.
Yep.
And it might have been better for her to try to refine this one with help or learn the craft more. Yep. Because that is probably why she got into this mess. The marketing was so good, and maybe she was embarrassed and just kind of hoped it was better than it was. So yeah, I brought her up a couple of times because it's an interesting case for the question of how marketing weighs against quality, and which is similar to the one we started with, is general content versus book promo. How do you balance out the promotional versus the other stuff? I wish her well. I hope that she was able to make a comeback with a better quality product at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're going to say that book talk is not that usable for newcomers then?
I think it depends. If you get lucky, you get lucky. I had a friend who is a predominantly a visual artist. Gosh, I can't remember what the name of their book is now. They just had massive success on Kickstarter in terms of a debut novel. It is a dragon shifter romance novel. So again, that worked very well for them on TikTok, and they were able to market exclusively using their artwork for that. So that was, something that was concerning for them as well. They didn't want to get caught in the Audra Winter situation where, yes, the artwork is very pretty, the characters are very pretty, but then what happens if people don't like the book? They offered 3 chapter samples for their book, and people got very invested, and they ended up making, I think, over $7,000 on Kickstarter for their first debut, which is really great. It's not as explosive as Audra's campaign was, but it's still quite high. So at the end of the day, you can definitely be a debut, and as long as you're aware that those are things people are concerned of, I think you can kind of dodge that issue. But they're a great example of a newcomer in the book talk scene with no videos of themselves, almost completely just image-based text. They'd show an illustration of their character, and it would be things like, this is the log line or quick elevator pitch for this character. This is the other male lead. This is their relationship. This is the conflict. And that was enough to really excite the people over on Book Talk to the point where it did well. But again, it's also LGBTQ+, and it's a romance. And so those things may have contributed to their success as well. But yeah, I'm always here for it. I would say just go for it. Your success may not be instantaneous or explosive, but it's kind of like pushing a boulder up a hill. Eventually you will get it over the top of the hill. It may just take a really long time depending on the genre that you write.
So what you see here, first of all, with tremendous apologies, I cannot get rid of this thing in the lower right corner about my subscription to Norton having expired. But I have to screen share at some point. This is liminalhousebooks.com. So revolutionize your publishing experience. So tell me where I should click here. I think maybe join the newsletter and submissions.
Yes, yeah, the newsletter, it goes out very infrequently. It's once every 3 months, and it's often just, heads up if I'm having sales or whether or not I'm still accepting submissions, which is true. I'm accepting one more person for the 2027 season is going to be it. And then you can also check out all of my a la carte author services there as well. Effectively, Liminal House, at the end of the day, I like to market it a little bit as self-publishing plus. I am a hybrid press, which means that I don't fully cover the cost of specific stuff. So I don't have the luxury of being a big trad house where I can give authors advances or cover all expenses, which is why my submission requirements are the way that they are. But at the end of the day, my goal is to help you pay as little out of pocket as possible for the self-publishing experience and end up with a high-quality book that people will look at and go, wow, that looks like it was traditionally published, you know? So avoid the mistakes that very young authors or new authors that I made these mistakes as well, that I made when I was young and, you know, fresh out of college or, you know, even out of high school. I published my first one when Amazon, it was the KDP was still Create Space back in the olden times, in the before days. And it was not good. It was a bad book.
I was in Create Space for a while. Yeah, I know.
It was a good time. But yeah, my book was bad. And so like I want to try and help people avoid that as much as they possibly can. And yeah, that's really overall just the vibe. But I feel like publishing is very gatekeepy. And it can be hard when you do have, you know, the trends that we are facing right now where it's like mostly they want romance or mostly they want tropes or mostly they're looking for very specific content for these types of books. You know, it's hard. And if you feel like you're being gatekept too much by the agencies that you're trying to submit to, you know, being able to navigate that without breaking your bank is hugely important.
So this is the roadmap. This is the one that you came on to promote today. Roadmap.
That is the roadmap strategy. The other one is going to be social media roadmap, but the book roadmap strategy is also very similar.
That
one.
Okay, this is the one. Sorry,
that's the one. Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. Really straightforward. You get a nice little PDF with a how-to guide for everything. After I meet with you, and we can even, like I say, 60-minute consultation call, but if you're comfortable doing it via email too, you know, you can always just ask me questions, send, you know, which platforms you like, what you like to talk about, and all of that stuff. And then I can create kind of a content guide. So that way you don't have to feel super alone. I find that a lot of the marketing advice on the internet is very broad and very vague and often doesn't apply to creatives. So it can be very stressful. And we want to avoid that as much as possible. No stress here.
Okay, so here is the submissions guidelines right now as well. So this is you say you need one more. How many books do you think you're going to bring out this year?
I am a micropress, and so for the 2027 season, I plan on publishing only 3 books, like max. So this is my flagship year. I am very new. I recognize I am bitty baby, and it's going to be kind of a learning curve here. So far, we have my title, which is a sci-fi thriller. I'm going to be speaking with another author who, fingers crossed, I'm going to be signing on his work as well. And it is also a sci-fi thriller. We have 2 very similarly themed books, but that doesn't mean that yours has to be a sci-fi thriller. I accept all forms of speculative fiction, and even if it's like kind of genre bendy and you're not sure, as long as it's got an enjoyable story and I like it, that's what I'm here for. But I most importantly only accept work from marginalized people, so that's going to be neurodivergent, disabled, BIPOC, or LGBTQ+. And I'm pretty loosey-goosey about that. Like, if you feel like, you know, you don't have to be diagnosed or like any of those things to have a marginalized experience. So I just want to try and avoid the broader audiences or the authors that are being picked up by the trad publishing industry to make sure that everybody can get their book out there and be represented without having to jump a bazillion hurdles to get there.
Very good. This has been an enjoyable conversation, and I learned some stuff, and I still have a lot of questions I'm going to trying to figure out about TikTok. The takeaway for me is not to bother with book talk quite as much as I thought. I used the hashtag today. I don't know if that's going to get me out of the 200 view jail. I don't think I'm out of it yet. Just in case it be dramatic, I'm going to look and just see if I'm.
Yeah, sometimes it's just punishing. Like my number one, or like if I had to do top 3 TikTok tips.
145.
Oh, you're close though. You're almost there.
I'm almost to the jail.
Yeah, almost there. Yeah, and you know what? And it's okay. I would say don't stress about numbers too much. That's the number one thing. In the beginning, it will always be rough. 2, don't worry about posting 2 to 3 times a day. I know every single person on the internet is like, you have to post 18 times in one day for TikTok to care. That's not the case. I post on my Liminal House account 3 times a week. You could probably do once a week and it would be a-okay. As long as you're consistent, that's the most important part. So even filming 1 video a week and then posting it every day on like Wednesday at 11 a.m. or whatever time you want, That's important. I would say avoid posting at night though, because most people just go to sleep. So sometime during the mid-afternoon or early morning is a great place to post. And keep your videos as much as possible under 1 minute. You have to talk at the speed of sound, but try and keep them very bite-sized. My most successful videos are, no joke, 5 seconds long. And is often B-roll with some text over the top of it, talking about the author experience or the publishing experience, and those do great because the more people loop your video and the more it's watched and they're typing in the comment and it's playing in the background, the more TikTok goes, yes, this is important. People like this. They keep watching it. So you can, I guess, intermix those micro videos in with around like a minute long-ish videos of you talking about something from your book. But that's everything that I cover in that social media roadmap, is kind of a template for those posts and how to make them not boring, and also to make them in such a way that you can automate them and batch record like 7 at a time and then release them throughout the week. So you're spending like an hour putting together videos and not really like sinking so much time into the social media, because, you know, we're writers. We want to be writing. We don't want to be making social media content. Like that's not our dream. Our dream is to make books, you know? So yeah, the pressure's insane. Like, yeah, I think that we are in a weird place on the internet where a lot of the algorithms reward massive content dumps, which is why 25% of YouTube, for example, right now, almost 25% is all AI videos, and it's growing exponentially by the day because those people are getting views and making money based on the amount of content that they can put out. So for creators who don't do that, who want to actually, you know, be present and engage in the community in that way, it can feel insurmountable. You're literally competing with a robot, a content machine, to try and get your stuff out, and that's really stressful. So the best strategy is to not stress about it so much if you can. Be consistent, do what works best for you, and it may be a slow build. It won't be like some exponential virality or anything, but you never know. Something that you say might inspire people or excite people, and then that one thing can really kick the ball down the hill, and then, you know, it'll kind of take care of itself at that point, which is pretty cool.
Tycho, it's been great, and I'm sure that if we keep doing this, you're going to become my audience's favorite guest.
Oh, that's so nice. I hope so.
Let's plan
I
to
hope
do
we can
another
do it
one
again.
in the next couple months.
Yeah, that sounds great. And if everybody wants to follow me, I'm at Tycho_Dorian over on TikTok, and Liminal House Press is over there as well. It's just at Liminal House Press, so you can come and follow me on both of my TikToks and see what kind of tomfoolery we get up to over there.
You know, all good stuff.
The School of Fiction.